All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the first topic, and I'm gonna jump right here from the top. And again, please go to Eventbrite if that's if you're interested in what's going on here in Memphis. And there's a lot of different activities, not just community rooted events. It's also a good resource for if you just want to know what's going on in the city and want to participate and be, go out and have a good time. Eventbrite has a lot of different activities and, events to go to. All right. So there's been stories out here recently about there was a shooting at Railgarden a couple of weeks ago. In conjunction with that, there's been a shooting a couple of weeks ago at Railgarden. I know somebody was injured. I'm not sure whether or not anybody was actually killed in this specific situation. But one of the things that we've talked about in the past has been violent crimes that have been committed and the suspected person involved in that violent crime being released without bail. Being released, period, is one thing, but being released without bail. And I was sent this a little earlier this morning. I did not know that this was, this thing. I didn't know that this had happened, honestly. But okay, so we'll jump in and see what's going on. And this is from Action News 5. I'm sure the article will say, let's go ahead and listen to the video and see what they have to say, and we'll talk a little bit about it after the fact and look through the article.
Consider this your sign to stock up on signage. Because right now at Vistaprint, all signs are 20% off, so you can bring in business with durable banners. Make your message stand out with yard signs, or stop them in their tracks with retractable banners. If you need it, we print it at Vistaprint.com.
The suspect charged in a quadruple shooting in one of Midtown's popular venues, Railgarden, is out of jail tonight without paying bond. DeTwan Gunn was arrested Thursday on 5 counts of attempted murder, firearm, and vandalism charges. He's accused of opening fire after an argument over a parking spot Friday evening. Investigators were able to connect Gunn to the shooting from a tag on a Lexus that was seen driving away from Railgarden. According to police, Gunn would use the dealership tag between several cars, including one he had gotten a ticket in. Gunn appeared in court this morning. No word yet on why he was released of his own recognizance while facing attempted murder charges. We will, of course, update you once we learn more.
Wow. Whatever your business needs, Vistaprint can print it. Like package.
Let's not. Okay.
Well, the vast cave system beneath.
All right. Yeah. Absolute. I don't even know what to say about this, situation. It continually happens over and over and over again. And so I talked to you a little while ago about the judges that create the bond conditions and the judicial commissioners that have been appointed. They are appointed positions that are not to exceed certain time periods and cannot be consecutive, I believe. But there's specific people that set bond conditions for suspects or people that are being charged with any crime. And the ability to pay bond is also considered during that process. I'm not 100% sure that the news story didn't tell us much. Railgarden, that is a restaurant or bar or, one of those types of late night spots where you can go and have a good time. They have events there, so on and so forth. And I'm 100% sure on the day that this situation occurred, There was some type of, people were going out to party. They were going out to do their thing. And next thing you know, like they said, it was over a parking spot. Somebody's doing something outside of, they aren't acting right in public. They're over there trying to show their ass, basically. And so we have a situation where they said quadruple shooting. Obviously, nobody got killed since it was an attempted murder charge that's associated with this. But let's take a look at this news story and see what all is said inside the news story, since the video didn't give much information. The man accused of wounding 4 people outside a popular Midtown hangout spot earlier this month walked free from 201 Poplar on Monday without paying bond. DeTwan Gunn, 30, he's old enough, so I'll say his full name, faces 12 felony charges, 5 counts of attempted second-degree murder, 5 counts of employment of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony, and 2 counts of vandalism of property, $1,000 to $2,500. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy released a statement Tuesday, which is this morning, saying his office is disappointed in the ruling and that they argued for a bond of $500,000. And you can see his tweet here. And I'll say Steve Mulroy definitely needs CYA right now, because he is getting hit from every direction about this specific thing. Suspected, people going in to their initial court case and leaving without any type of bond and committing additional violent acts once they're back out on the street. We argue for bond of $500,000. We believe the suspect should still be in jail, considering one of the victims was shot in the back. We're confident justice will prevail and the defendant will be held accountable. Yeah. Police allege that on the night of Friday, August 16th, so this was last Friday, Gunn fired a shotgun at a man outside Railgarden on Central Avenue during a dispute over the victim's parking spot, injuring him and 3 bystanders. According to the arrest affidavit, tag on Gunn's gray Lexus was seen on several other vehicles after the shooting. Gunn told investigators he works as a mechanic and swaps the tag between his cars. Gunn was on the run for 5 days before his arrest. Court records show he was released on his own recognizance on yesterday, August 26th. Shelby County Judge Bill Anderson is overseeing the case. So Bill Anderson is who set the bail. Gunn is set to reappear on court on Tuesday, September 3rd. So that would be next week. There's so many things wrong with this story that I don't even know where to start. First of all, how do you no bond and you're shooting somebody with a shotgun? A victim got shot in his back. You're on the run for 5 days. Get pulled over in a car that you swapped the license plate out on. Finally get caught, arrested, brought in front of the judge for the initial hearing, released ROR, no bond whatsoever. And then you'll be back in court next week. I honestly want to know how that makes any semblance of sense whatsoever. I don't see any of it making sense. I mean, just from the simple point, okay, you're arrested. I don't know what day he was arrested. Obviously, it was this past weekend. The incident took place on Friday. He was in court Monday, or arrested yesterday, it would have been, it looks like, since they released this statement today, this morning at 10 a.m., which would have been about an hour ago, just to turn right back around and have to be back in court a week later. I just don't see. I would love to understand the guidelines, the checklist that they go by. Mr. Judicial Commissioner, or Judge Anderson, I believe his name, Bill Anderson. Tell me how you came to this decision. I don't get it. Now, and I don't want this, because what's so bad about it is, here's the bad part. Here's the bad part. They're going to use this to punish everybody. When this law is finally changed, or whatever this loophole is, or this obviously very lenient set of guidelines that are being used, and they shut that heavy door on it, if you get arrested for suspended license, there won't be an ROR situation for you. You're going to end up having to pay hundreds, thousands. There'll be bonds set for things that there shouldn't be bonds set for. The spirit of whatever law is being, or whatever policy that has been instated, is probably correct. Or the letter of it is probably correct. The spirit of it is being the spirit was correct. The letter of it is being misused. There's certain situations you just can't let that individual out. I would love to see, I want to see what they're using to make these decisions. That should be public information. We went through the whole rigmarole with individuals that have previous convictions or previous arrests. And now they're going to add that to the information that they give to these judicial commissioners and for the judges overseeing these cases. But then they said, well, we already have that information, or that information really won't help that much in being able to, because we still have to take into account the ability to pay. How does the ability to pay, that piece, how does the ability to pay have anything to do with shooting somebody in the back with a, supposedly, allegedly, shooting somebody in the back with a shotgun, being on the run for 5 days, and then turning back around and being released that same day, just to come back to court a week later? The Shelby County District Attorney's Office shouldn't even have to come back and say well, we requested $500,000 of bail. This is what happened. It's irresponsible. Absolutely irresponsible. I hate that these types of things that are happening, and it's not an easy clear up, but I would like to know what the Shelby County commissioners are looking at when they make these decisions. At least then it could put context to the end result that we're constantly seeing. At least then we can make a educated decision on whether or not to roll back whatever policies, because they're going to end up voting one way or the other, whether or not it's put onto a ballot, whether or not it's just done by Shelby County Commission, whether or not, or Shelby County Commission. In some respect, you got to think about politics that way. They allow things to happen to advance an agenda sometimes. I'm sorry. And I'm not a conspiracy guy, but sometimes they allow certain things to happen to advance their other agenda that might not be clear view. And it's a little discouraging. It's a little discouraging because you feel like there's a couple different ways to look at it. It's discouraging because it feels like almost anything can be done in Memphis, and then I don't know who the person was that was shot in the back, but if I was a family member, and not if I was a family member, sometimes you just have the thoughts go through your head. Oh no, we can't let this ride. It perpetuates other bad decisions that can potentially be made. Bad decision on the point of gun. He lived up to his name, didn't he? Deton Gun. The man pulled out a shotgun and shot somebody. Man, that's bold, man. You feel like you can pull out a shotgun and shoot somebody? I don't even know what kind of conversation you're having with somebody when there's so many different things that would have to happen in order. You really would have to be violating my family, what I believe that belongs to me, my property or family or my personal being. If you violated that, then yeah, we'll go there. In the middle of a parking lot argument over a parking space, I just don't see it. I don't see it one iota. And it's not even one of those to each their own. That's mental health. That's something way down here and taking it way up there. You know what I mean? And because what the today it just how things work. That's looked at as that's people envy that type of stuff. They think it's cool. No way, no how. Man should not be out on bond right now. Unfortunate situation. Follow up to this would be is again Shelby County Commissioner. So look, hold on one second. All right, so Shelby County Judge Bill Anderson. He was elected in 2010. Before we go there with it, so I don't see any I don't see any recent news stories, but let's take a look at a little bit of the history in this. All right, so let's look at this real quick. I was gonna jump off this, but all right, we've been doing it this way for 30 years. Judge Bill Anderson says new law has nothing to do with him stepping down for supervisor role. All right.
Consider this your sign to stock up on signage. Because right now at Vistaprint, all signs are 20% off. So you can bring in business with durable banners. Make your message stand out with yard signs. Or stop them in their tracks with retractable banners. If you need it, we print it at Vistaprint.com.
In nearly 4 years in Shelby County, there's a new head judge in General Sessions Criminal Court. Judge Bill Anderson has been in that role since 2020. Action News 5's Kelly Cook joins us now live in studio to tell you this change follows a new law passed by the Tennessee legislature. And Kelly, how do they choose who will be the supervisor of the judicial commissioners who set the bails?
Well, Joe, the judicial administrator traditionally rotates annually, with a new leader selected among the judges. Well, Judge Bill Anderson has remained in that role for the past 4 years, and thanks to a new law, that won't happen again in Shelby County.
Absolutely supported the bill because the judicial commissioner program really needed new leadership.
Shelby County Commissioner Mick Wright was among the growing voices this year criticizing General Sessions Criminal Court Judge Bill Anderson, who released some high-profile defendants on their own recognizances or set very low bails. The criticism reaching a fever pitch following this statement last year before the Shelby County Commission.
I detest the bail bond system in Shelby County.
Judge Anderson referencing his disdain for bail bondsmen, but his statement led to a public reprimand from the Tennessee Board of Judicial Conduct. This past general legislative session, House Bill 1716, authored by Representative John Gillespie and Senator Brent Taylor, was signed into law. The bill mandates the supervision of general session judges must rotate on an annual basis. July 1st, Judge Anderson vacated his leadership role after 4 years. Judge Lee Wilson, a former magistrate who was elected General Sessions Court judge in 2022, has now taken the role of leading the 14 judicial commissioners who set bail. Representative Gillespie had this advice for Wilson.
Honestly, very bluntly, read the writing on the wall. The reason this happened is because the general public was consistently upset by these extremely low bond amounts set on some pretty serious hardened criminals.
Now, we reached out to Judge Bill Anderson for a comment, but we were told he is unavailable for the holiday weekend. Judge Wilson also declined an interview due to scheduling conflict. Coming up tonight at 6, Shelby County Commissioner Mick Wright says a change in guard isn't the only issue he has with the county's criminal court judges. We'll tell you why he says the courts are behind on a mandate in transparency.
Yeah, that's real interesting. Hold on one second, though. There was one. I'm glad. Look, this does not look like the man we just saw on that video. The man we saw in that video looks like the result that we're seeing as far as people being released on their own recognizance. Well, let's look at one more thing. I just want to see. So this is from WREG. So Shelby County Commissioner Mick Wright is calling for General Sessions Judge Bill Anderson to step down. Wright says Anderson should resign based on his leadership because too many criminal defendants are being released back on the streets of Memphis. They, Memphians, are seeing friends and neighbors assaulted and harmed by all the crime, and people are crying out and want to see something different from our justice system. It's time for Judge Anderson to step down from leading judicial commissioners. Anderson supervises Shelby County's 14 judicial commissioners. Their job, among other things, is to set bail when someone is first arrested. The number one important thing for judges is to be impartial, and I know he's already been reprimanded with regard to his statements on the bail bond industry. Wow. I will take the heat for any magistrate that works down here. I will defend my magistrates because it is one of the toughest jobs there is. But Wright questions Anderson's leadership. To know that he's been on record basically pressuring them, saying there's some type of quota they need to make with regard to release on recognizance. Those things are totally inappropriate. Wow. In the past, Anderson has appointed blame at bail bond companies for the quick release of defendants. The people who make the decisions who get out on bail, get out of our jails on a monetary bail is the bail bond company. It's not the judges. It's not the magistrates. What? The people who make the decisions on who gets out of our jails on a monetary bail is the bail bond company. It's not the judges. It's not the magistrates, Anderson said. It's a private entity we have absolutely no control over. Wright also points to the bond hearing of Jalen Lobley, an 18-year-old who was back on the streets just week before. He was in a shootout with police, leaving our officer dead. I'm also reflecting on some of the comments he's made in particular cases. He said that it's an appropriate decision to release someone who ultimately ends up being involved in a firefight with 3 of our officers are shot and one of them ultimately passes away, Wright said. For now, Wright says he'll continue to push for Anderson's resignation. I mean, that right there is all over the place. So, in a nutshell, the judge is putting the responsibility and blame on the bail bond company. I'm not understanding how the bail bonds has anything to do with the amount someone's being released for. Maybe I don't have a good enough understanding of that industry, but if bail bonds has anything to do with a criminal getting out on a certain amount of bail, there's a breakdown all the way through our system. I mean, all the way through. It's corrupt. There's somebody that is making a lot of money from whatever is going on. But it really doesn't make sense because if you're releasing on your own recognizance, there is no money that needs to be paid. So the statement, this statement right here, the people who make the decisions on who gets out of our jails on a monetary bail is the bail bond company. It's not the judges. It's not the magistrates. Judge Bill Anderson said it's a private entity that we have absolutely no control over. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Bail bonds make money by having people released out on bail. So if you're releasing them on their own recognizance, how is it the bail bond? What incentive would it be for a bail bond company to have criminals released on their own recognizance? Now, if you told me that a bail bond company had something to do with making it easier for somebody that had $1 million bond to be able to get out, then you'd be talking about something that I would care about. First of all, I mean, it's great that he's not the supervisor of the judicial commissioners anymore. 14 judicial commissioners that are setting these bails, because that's what's actually stipulated in Tennessee courts. Shelby County Judicial Commissioners. It's not giving me a complete list. I remember this here, the Memphian. Yeah, you have to pay, and I don't have a subscription, and I'm not going to do it right now. So, yeah, absolute mess, absolute mess. I'm glad Wilson obviously is the new supervisor. The deal is, what does a do? Okay, so Judge Bill Anderson said that it is the bail bond company that is setting the amount for what somebody's being released for. Why they would, if you wanted to go by that train of thought, why would they want anybody to be released on ROR? Makes absolutely no sense. But if you want to just go by I'd love to see I'll find, I had exactly what the government site that shows Shelby County Judicial Commissioner responsibilities. But so setting bail, they set bail for criminal defendants. Shelby County announced that they would receive more information about blah, blah, blah. Okay. Judicial commissioners help with specialty courts, handling hearings, handle more hearings and other quasi-judicial functions, issuing warrants, appointing attorneys, releasing defendants, and issuing injunctions. Yeah. No, I want to see the official site. So, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I'm glad that there's another supervisor. The whole thing is you have the same suspects. It's the same judge that was a proponent of, I guess, releasing people on their own recognizance. They said back in earlier this year when there was a shootout with police officers, and you have the judge released that person ROR. A lot more digging needs to be done, and it will be. So, interesting story. Stay tuned. More to come is all I can say about that one.